3 women went to bed inside this house. By morning, all 3 were gone. Their cars were still outside. Their purses were still inside. Their keys were still there. The family dog was still in the house. And there was no obvious sign that 3 people had disappeared at all. One detail was even stranger. The front porch light had been broken, but there was no clear explanation for how it happened. And then investigators learned that an answering machine message, a message they believed might have contained a clue, had already been erased. 3 women, 1 house, almost everything they owned left behind. Nothing has been found of them. This is the Springfield 3. And more than 30 years later, nobody knows what happened after the front door closed that night. June 1992, Springfield, Missouri. The women were Cheryl Levitt, 47 years old, her 19-year-old daughter, Suzanne Streeter, and Suzanne's 18-year-old friend, Stacy McCall. Suzanne and Stacy had just graduated from high school. They were supposed to be celebrating.
We are so proud of you both. Thanks, Mom. We did it. I can't believe it's over. You both have such bright futures.
Instead, somewhere between the end of that night and the morning after it, all 3 disappeared. The FBI still lists the 3 women as missing. And this case is unusual for one reason above all others. There wasn't a mysterious road to search. There wasn't a deserted car. There wasn't an abandoned hotel room. The mystery began inside a normal house. The last night. On June 6, 1992, Suzanne Streeter and Stacy McCall were celebrating their high school graduation. The girls spent the evening moving between graduation celebrations with friends. Their plans changed several times. Eventually, they decided to spend the night at Suzanne's home, where her mother, Cheryl Levitt, was already staying. The FBI records their disappearance window as approximately 2:15 in the morning to 7:30 that morning. Cheryl had been home earlier that night. Her last confirmed telephone conversation was around 11:15 p.m. Then the night became uncertain. Suzanne and Stacy were seen leaving the final part of the night's celebrations. They were expected to return to the house, and their belongings later indicated that they had. Their cars were there. Their clothing was there. Their purses were there. But by the following morning, none of the 3 women could be found. No one knows exactly what happened during those missing hours. That gap, only a few hours long, became the beginning of a mystery that would last decades. The next morning, friends expected Suzanne and Stacy to meet them for their plans that day. They didn't arrive. A friend went to the house. The front door was unlocked. The 3 women's cars were still parked outside. Inside, their belongings remained. The family dog, Cinnamon, was still there. Their purses had not gone anywhere. Neither had their keys. Money and personal possessions were left behind. An unfinished drink sat inside the house. Cigarettes that Cheryl's friends and family said she regularly smoked were still there. The television in Suzanne's room was on, showing static. It looked less like 3 people had left, and more like 3 people had simply disappeared from the middle of an ordinary morning. A broken porch light globe was found outside. There was no obvious evidence explaining what had happened. And then the investigation encountered another problem. The house had already been visited by friends and relatives before police could fully process it as a crime scene. People had walked through the rooms. Things had been moved. Some cleanup had already taken place. Later accounts estimated that roughly 10 to 20 people had passed through the house. Whatever physical evidence might have existed had already been compromised.
Then there was the answering machine. Someone had apparently left a message. When a family member checked the machine, the message was heard. And then it was accidentally erased. Police later believed the message might have contained a clue, but the recording
was gone. Think about what that means. In the first hours of an unexplained disappearance, investigators had potentially captured information from someone who may have contacted the house, and they no longer had it. Who called? What did the person say? Was the call connected to the disappearance? Or was it completely unrelated? Nobody can go back and listen. The recording is gone. Investigators also considered the broken porch light. Was it connected? Was it accidental? Had someone broken it while approaching the house? Or did it have nothing to do with the disappearance at all? The evidence never produced a definitive answer. And because so much time had passed before the house became a controlled crime scene, investigators were left trying to reconstruct an event from what little remained. The investigation expanded quickly. Friends were interviewed. Family members were interviewed. People connected to the graduation parties were questioned. Searches were conducted. The case received national attention. The women's faces appeared on television. Tips came in. Most led nowhere. Over the years, investigators considered many possibilities. Had the women left voluntarily? Had someone come to the house? Had they been abducted? The fact that all three vanished together made the case especially difficult. There were 3 people, 3 vehicles, 3 sets of personal belongings, and still none of them left the house in a way investigators could establish with certainty. One of the more persistent details was a possible vehicle seen in the area around the time of the disappearance, but sightings were difficult to verify. Another complication was the sheer passage of time. Every year without an answer meant memories became less precise, potential witnesses moved, and physical evidence deteriorated. And yet the case never completely disappeared. The FBI still maintains the Springfield 3 on its missing person database. The leading broad explanation is that the 3 women were abducted. It fits several aspects of the case. All 3 disappeared within the same short window. Their possessions remained behind. Their cars remained behind. And none of the women has surfaced since. But there is a problem. There is no confirmed account of how an abduction occurred. No confirmed attacker. No confirmed vehicle. No definitive crime scene reconstruction. The theory explains the disappearance. It doesn't explain the method. Another possibility is that whoever approached the house was someone the women knew. That could explain why there was no obvious struggle. It could explain why the women might have opened the door. But again, there is no established evidence identifying such a person. The absence of forced entry is suggestive. It is not proof. A voluntary disappearance has also been considered. People sometimes leave their lives behind deliberately, but this theory faces a major problem. 3 people disappeared together while leaving behind cars, purses, money, and ordinary personal possessions, and there has been no confirmed contact from any of them since 1992. The FBI continues to classify all 3 as missing. People sometimes leave their lives behind deliberately, but this theory faces a major problem. 3 people disappeared together while leaving behind cars, purses, money, and ordinary personal possessions, and there has been no confirmed contact from any of them since 1992. The FBI continues to classify all 3 as missing. And then there is the strange phone message. The problem with this theory is obvious. Nobody knows what the recording actually contained. It was erased. So it can support almost any theory, and therefore, in reality, proves almost nothing. That's an important distinction. A missing piece of evidence can be mysterious. It cannot automatically become evidence for whatever explanation we prefer. Here's what we know. On June 7, 1992, Suzanne Streeter, Stacy McCall, and Cheryl Levitt disappeared from Levitt's home in Springfield, Missouri. Their disappearance occurred sometime within the early morning window identified by investigators. Their cars remained at the house. Their personal belongings remained inside. The family dog remained inside. A porch light globe was broken. An answering machine message was erased before investigators could preserve it. And the women have never been found. Here's what we don't know. Who came to the house?
How the women left, whether they left voluntarily or were taken, where they went, and, most importantly, why did 3 people disappear from the same house without leaving behind a clear explanation? 3 women entered one house. By morning, they were gone. Their cars stayed. Their belongings stayed. Their dog stayed. Even a possible clue on the answering machine stayed long enough to be heard and then disappeared too. More than 30 years later, the house has an explanation nobody can prove. The women don't. Suzanne Streeter, Stacy McCall, Cheryl Levitt. 3 names, 3 lives, and one question that has never received an answer. What happened inside that house before the morning came? The Springfield 3 are still missing, and the case remains open. 3 women vanished from a house. Our next mystery begins somewhere much more ordinary. A hotel room, a suitcase, and a man whose identity would become a mystery after he was already dead.